Hello everyone and welcome back to another recap on Movie Frenzy. Today's pick is the 2017 film Cold Skin. The movie is set during the year 1914 and begins with an unnamed narrator telling us a story about his life. He is referred to in the movie as Friend. He has set out to sea in order to find peace on an isolated island as a weather observer. He is being taken there by a captain and his crew. They assist him as he enters the island. Friend notices that there are no creatures in this place, such as birds or rodents. Despite some ominous signs, the captain and Friend make their way inside a lighthouse to look for the previous weather observer, Mr. Vigilant. They find a naked man asleep in bed. It's the lighthouse keeper named Gruner, and he tells them that the man they are looking for has died due to typhus. The captain doesn't believe him as there is no body, but Gruner challenges his authority and tells him to leave. The captain offers to take Friend back to civilization, but he decides to stay back and find his peace living in the cabin. His days are monotonous, so he keeps himself busy with books. One night, he comes across a diary that seems to have been written by Mr. Vigilant before he died. It has the image of a woman and also some strange drawings of scary aquatic creatures. Later, he notices somebody outside his door and inspects it. Suddenly, an amphibian monster's hand tries to break in. Friend attacks it and quickly hides in the basement. He stays there till sunrise. The monster doesn't like the sun, so it abandons the cabin and goes back into the sea. Friend tries to contact Gruner, but he's uninterested and tells him that he should have stayed away from the island. These monsters are referred to as toads, and Friend equips himself with weapons and locks up the cabin so that he can be prepared to take them on the next time. Later at night, he is attacked by an army of toads and he's unable to land a clean shot on any of them. He lights a fire to drive them away but ends up burning the cabin in the process. Friend has no other option now, so he spies on Gruner, but comes across a toad named Aneris. He's about to shoot her, but then Gruner appears and convinces him not to harm her. He reasons that she's tame and won't harm them. The men eventually come to an agreement where Gruner allows Friend to live in his lighthouse in exchange for his supplies and labor. Friend learns that Aneris can heal wounds simply by licking them and is fascinated by the nature of her species. Gruner, on the other hand, doesn't care for that and treats her like his pet dog. Friend wants to get out of the island, but Gruner tells him that no ships will be coming for them as the island is not located on a commercial route. Later that night, Gruner and Friend take guard to prepare for the toads. Friend notices Aneris singing before an army of toads begin their attack. Gruner starts killing them one by one, but Friend is unable to shoot because he freezes out of shock and passes out within minutes. Gruner manages to keep them alive but is pissed off with Friend's behavior and insults him for being dead weight. He reduces Friend's responsibilities to simple tasks like fetching water. During his work, Friend walks in on Gruner having sex with Aneris and learns that he's been abusing her right from the start. Gruner gives him one last chance and allows him to take guard against the toads, but abandons him when the monsters get close. He hopes that Friend has died the next morning, but to his surprise, he was able to survive the night and kill the toads. They form an unusual acquaintance and continue with the same routine for weeks. The toads stop attacking now, and Friend starts to suspect that they might only be interested in taking Aneris back. But Gruner is stubborn and doesn't listen to him. Friend passes his time by carving boats out of whale bones, and also gets closer to Aneris. He even tries to communicate with her. One night, Friend and Gruner play chess and drink alcohol but get carried away with the game and forget to take guard. The toads take advantage of this and attack the lighthouse in much larger numbers. This turns out to be too much for the men and they're unable to kill them all. Gruner gets injured in the process and Friend takes him upstairs where they lock themselves in. Luckily, the toads aren't able to break inside and they survive the night. Aneris licks Gruner's wound to heal him, but Friend realizes they won't be able to live through another assault. He notices a ship nearby and prepares to shoot a flare, but Gruner doesn't allow him to do it and attacks him instead. Aneris threatens him and saves Friend, but it's too late and the ship leaves. Gruner is upset with Aneris and hurts her as a punishment for betraying him. Friend tries to make her feel better by offering her the boat he carved. She seems to recognize it and takes him to a functional rowboat. Friend confronts Gruner about it and he says it belonged to some illegal dynamite smugglers who lost their stock in the shipwreck underwater. Friend comes up with a plan to use the boat to recover the dynamite, but Gruner acts stubborn and difficult yet again. However, he later sees Friend bonding with Aneris and changes his mind, hoping that Friend will die in the process of retrieving the explosives. Friend gets into an old diving suit and kicks off the plan. They manage to pull it off, but then Friend gets attacked by a toad and falls down. He notices that there are baby toads as well, and they like to play in the water. He eventually evacuates himself from his suit and gets back to the boat unharmed. The men see that the dynamite is in perfect working condition, so they use their stock to surround the lighthouse for protection against the toads. Winter arrives and Gruner almost detonates the explosives when he freezes during his watch, but Friend stops him from doing so and unplugs the device. Then Gruner loses his mind and attacks Aneris, accusing her of calling her kind to come take her away from him. Friend tries to stop him, but he only pushes him away and tells him to prepare for an ambush. The toads don't show up at night, and this makes Gruner very impatient. He forces Aneris to call for them using her singing, and she obeys his commands out of fear. After some waiting, the toads show up and attack Friend. He holds them off and informs Gruner about it, but he can't kick off the explosions because the detonator is still unplugged. Friend rushes upstairs and fixes it up again, after which he sets off the first line of dynamite. But then Gruner activates the second line as well, and it's very close to the lighthouse, so the aftershocks knock both men out. The next morning, Friend wakes up and finds Gruner alive next to him. The men go outside to kill off any surviving toads, and Friend finds a toad with a necklace. He feels guilty and thinks that the toads might be more civilized than what he's been made to believe, but Gruner angrily throws the necklace away. Aneris seems to have abandoned the men, but Gruner doesn't care and says she'll come back. He also reveals that he freed her from a net when she was a child and has kept her as his slave since then. Friend starts to doubt Gruner's true nature and goes towards the shore. He notices a few baby toads in the water and creates a circle of stones where he places his toy boat in the middle as an offering. He comes back to the lighthouse to find Gruner drunk and passed out, so he takes a look at the papers around him. This is where he learns that Gruner is in fact Mr. Vigilant, the previous weather observer whose wife he saw in the earlier diary. Friend heads towards the shore again and finds Aneris waiting there with a baby toad. Slowly, a lot of other toads also show up, but they don't attack him. The baby toad offers him his toy ship as a sign of a truce, but then Gruner shows up with his gun and threatens everyone by shooting at them. Friend tries to calm him down by saying the toads want to make peace, but he doesn't care and orders Aneris to come back to him. However, she refuses and Gruner loses his mind. He goes back to the lighthouse and it appears as if he might have finally calmed down. Friend tries to make progress with the toads, but suddenly, Gruner fires his flare gun at the baby toad and kills it. This triggers Aneris and the other toads, so they leave immediately. Friend rushes back to the lighthouse and confronts Gruner for what he's done. They end up fighting for a bit, but Gruner is too strong for Friend and throws him against the wall. He's just about to kill Friend, but then he refers to him by his real name and tells him that he's not a murderer. This seems to spark something in Gruner and he lets go of his weapon. Then he proceeds to walk out of the lighthouse and allows the toads to come and finally kill him. Friend takes over the lighthouse and lives his life in loneliness till he is woken up by a captain, and his replacement the exact same way as he had first met Gruner. When he is asked about what happened to the previous weather observer, he responds the same way as Gruner, by saying he had died of typhus as well. The movie ends with Friend looking out of the lighthouse and noticing the ship that will take him back to human civilization. And there you go, guys, that was Cold Skin recapped by yours truly. It was an interesting take on isolation, and it seems to have inspired Robert Eggers' very own Lighthouse movie. Anyway, like, share, and subscribe to show some love, and click the bell icon below to get notified whenever I upload a new recap. See ya!